Many of us chase health as if it is a destination, perfect energy, flawless bodies, endless productivity, yet this pursuit often leaves us anxious, exhausted, or frustrated. What if there were a way to care for your body and mind without fear, without extremes, and without the constant pressure to fix yourself? In this video, we explore the middle way in modern health, a Buddhist approach that teaches balance, awareness, and compassionate care. You will learn how to eat without guilt, move without punishment, rest without anxiety, and approach medicine and mental well-being with clarity. This is not about strict rules or quick fixes. It is about understanding your body and mind, responding wisely to what arises, and cultivating sustainable health that actually supports your life. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by health trends, diets, workout fads, or mental health advice that contradicts itself, this video will give you a practical, calm, and timeless perspective. By the end, you will see health not as a struggle or a burden, but as a living balance you can practice every day, gently, consistently, and effectively. Take these 20 minutes to step away from extremes and discover how the wisdom of the middle way can transform the way you care for yourself, in both body and mind. Health is often spoken of today as a destination to reach or a standard to achieve. Many chase an image of perfect vitality, a flawless body, or unending energy. Others, feeling overwhelmed by these ideals, abandon care entirely and drift into neglect. Both paths arise from the same misunderstanding. Health is not perfection, and it is not indifference, it is balance. In the middle way, we learn that suffering is born from extremes. When we cling tightly to an idea of how the body should look or perform, we create tension. When we ignore the body's needs and treat it as an afterthought, we create harm. Balance does not mean doing everything halfway. It means responding wisely to conditions as they are. The body is not a machine that can be optimized endlessly. It is a living process, changing moment by moment. Some days it is strong, some days it is tired. Some seasons bring vitality, others invite rest. To demand the same output at all times is to fight reality. To listen without judgment is to walk the middle way. Modern health culture often replaces wisdom with control. Numbers, measurements, and comparisons promise certainty, yet they quietly cultivate anxiety. When health becomes an identity, fear follows close behind. Fear of aging, fear of weakness, fear of losing control. Balance begins when care is guided by kindness rather than fear. The middle way invites us to ask a gentler question, not how do I perfect this body, but how do I care for this body today? Care changes with time, circumstance, and capacity. It respects limits without surrendering to them. When effort is guided by awareness, it becomes nourishing instead of exhausting. When rest is taken without guilt, it restores rather than dulls the mind. Health, then, is not something you conquer, it is something you accompany. In seeing health as balance, the struggle softens. You no longer fight the body or worship it. You live with it, moment by moment, adjusting your care as conditions change. This is the beginning of the middle way in modern health. When we look closely at the body, we see that it is not a solid thing we possess, but a conditioned process that continues only through many causes. Breath, food, sleep, movement, climate, emotion, and time all participate in shaping this body. Because it is conditioned, it is never fixed. Because it is changing, it cannot be fully controlled. Much suffering in modern health arises from forgetting this truth. People speak of the body as if it were an object that has betrayed them or failed its duty. They ask why it no longer performs as it once did, or why it does not respond perfectly to effort. Yet nothing conditioned can promise permanence. Expecting the body to remain the same is like asking a river to stop flowing. Seeing the body as a process softens our relationship with it. Pain is no longer a personal failure. Fatigue is no longer a moral weakness. These are signals arising from conditions, asking to be understood rather than resisted. When we listen carefully, the body teaches us how to respond wisely. This understanding also frees us from blind faith in rigid methods. No diet, routine, or practice works the same for everyone or forever. What supports health at one stage of life may create imbalance at another. The middle way does not cling to formulas, it observes cause and effect in real time. Modern science confirms what contemplation reveals. Cells renew, hormones fluctuate, systems adapt. Health is a dynamic conversation, not a static achievement. When we align our care with this reality, we move away from frustration and toward responsiveness. To live with a conditioned body is to practice humility. We act with intention, yet we accept uncertainty. We care deeply, yet we release the demand for total control. In this space, effort becomes flexible rather than rigid. Understanding the body as a process allows compassion to arise, not only toward oneself, but toward others whose bodies express different conditions. In this shared impermanence, comparison loses its power and patience becomes possible. This is the middle way applied to the living body. Effort is essential for health, yet it easily slips into excess. In modern life, effort is often praised only when it is intense, relentless, and visible. Rest is treated as weakness, and moderation is mistaken for lack of commitment. This misunderstanding turns care into struggle and discipline into self-harm. The middle way teaches effort without obsession. Right effort is not measured by how much you push, but by how clearly you see. When effort is guided by awareness, it supports the body. When it is driven by fear or comparison, it slowly erodes well-being. Obsession narrows the mind. It fixates on outcomes and ignores signals. The body whispers through tension, fatigue, and unease, yet obsession demands silence. This is how good intentions become sources of injury. Balance is lost, not because effort exists, but because listening disappears. Effort rooted in the middle way adjusts moment by moment. Some days call for movement, challenge, and strengthening. Other days call for gentleness, repair, and stillness. There is no failure in adjusting, there is wisdom in it. Modern health culture often frames consistency as never changing. The middle way sees consistency differently. It is the steady return to awareness. It is the willingness to refine one's actions in response to conditions, not stubbornly repeat them. When effort becomes obsessive, identity hardens around routines and results. Any disruption feels like collapse. When effort is balanced, identity softens. Health practices become tools rather than chains. The middle way does not remove effort from life, it purifies it. Effort becomes an expression of care rather than control. You act because it is beneficial, not because you are afraid of stopping. In this way, effort sustains life instead of consuming it. Food is one of the most intimate ways we relate to the body, yet it is also one of the most confused. In modern health culture, eating is often divided between indulgence and fear. Some eat to escape discomfort, while others eat under constant suspicion, monitoring every bite as if danger were always present. Both extremes disturb the mind and burden the body. The middle way in food is neither careless pleasure nor anxious restraint. It begins with understanding nourishment. Food is not an enemy to defeat or a reward to earn. It is a condition that supports life. When this is forgotten, eating becomes a source of tension rather than sustenance. Indulgence dulls awareness. Fear sharpens it too harshly. Balance allows awareness to remain gentle and steady. You notice how food affects the body, the breath, and the mind, without rushing to judgment. Over time, wisdom replaces rules. Many suffer not from what they eat, but from how they think while eating. Guilt tightens the body, obsession disrupts digestion. When the mind is agitated, even the most carefully chosen food cannot bring ease. The middle way restores calm to the act of eating. Moderation is not denial, it is respect for limits. The body has rhythms of hunger and fullness that can be relearned when noise quiets. Listening to these signals requires patience, especially in a world that encourages excess and speed. Food prepared and consumed with awareness becomes medicine, not because it is perfect, but because it is received without struggle. You eat enough, not too much, not too little, and you move on without clinging. In this balanced relationship with food, health grows quietly. There is satisfaction without heaviness, care without anxiety. Eating returns to its rightful place as a simple, supportive act within the middle way. Movement is meant to support life, yet it is often used to punish the body. Many move not out of care but out of guilt, fear, or the desire to erase what they have eaten or undo what they feel they are lacking. When movement is driven this way, it creates resistance instead of vitality. The middle way invites movement without punishment. The body is not a problem to be corrected through force. It is a companion that responds to how it is treated. When movement arises from respect, it strengthens. When it arises from aggression, it eventually withdraws. In modern health culture, intensity is often mistaken for effectiveness. Pain is praised as proof of progress, yet pain is not wisdom. Discomfort may arise naturally with growth, but harm arises when signals are ignored. The middle way listens carefully to the difference. Movement has many forms. Walking, stretching, lifting, breathing, and stillness all serve the body in different ways. To cling to only one expression is to fall into imbalance. The body thrives on variation just as the mind does. Punishment narrows attention to outcomes. Balance returns attention to sensation. You feel how the body opens, tightens, warms, or tires. From this feeling, appropriate effort emerges. This kind of movement leaves energy behind rather than taking it all away. As the body changes with age and circumstance, movement must change as well. To insist on yesterday's capacity is to invite injury. To adjust without resentment is to remain in harmony with reality. When movement is guided by the middle way, it becomes a form of listening. Each action affirms care rather than conflict. In this way, movement sustains health without creating new forms of suffering. Rest is often treated as an obstacle to productivity rather than a foundation of health. In modern life, rest is postponed, negotiated, or justified, as if it must earn permission to exist. This attitude quietly exhausts the body and unsettles the mind. The middle way recognizes rest as an essential condition, not a luxury. Just as effort without rest leads to collapse, rest without awareness can become dullness. Balance is found in understanding the purpose of rest and allowing it fully when it is needed. True rest is not merely the absence of work, it is the settling of the nervous system and the release of constant striving. When the mind continues to race, the body cannot recover, even if it lies still. Rest guided by awareness invites both body and mind to soften together. Many resist rest because they fear falling behind or losing control. This fear keeps the body in a state of vigilance, preventing renewal. The middle way teaches that letting go temporarily is not abandonment of responsibility. It is what allows responsibility to be carried over time. Sleep, quiet reflection, and simple pauses during the day are not signs of weakness. They are acts of intelligence. The body repairs itself most deeply when it feels safe enough to stop defending. Rest also requires boundaries. Endless stimulation disguises itself as relaxation while continuing to drain attention. Choosing fewer inputs is a form of care. Silence, even in small doses, restores clarity. When rest is honored without guilt, energy returns naturally. Effort becomes lighter, attention steadier. In this rhythm of activity and recovery, health sustains itself. This is rest understood through the middle way, neither indulgent nor neglectful, but wisely timed and fully received. In matters of health, many swing between blind trust in medicine and complete rejection of it. Some believe every discomfort must be treated immediately, while others refuse all intervention, placing faith only in what they call natural. Both extremes overlook wisdom. The middle way approaches medicine without fear and without worship. Medicine is a tool, not a savior. Nature is a teacher, not a guarantee. Each has value when understood in context and danger when treated as absolute. The body has an innate capacity to heal, yet it also has limits. To deny this capacity is to become dependent. To deny these limits is to become careless. Balance recognizes when support is needed and when patience is enough. Modern medicine offers great benefit when guided by discernment. It can relieve suffering, restore function, and extend life. At the same time, not every condition requires immediate intervention. Some imbalances resolve through rest, nourishment, and time. Wisdom lies in knowing the difference. Natural approaches also require clarity. Natural does not always mean gentle or safe. Herbs, practices, and traditional methods influence the body powerfully. Used without understanding, they can harm as easily as they can help. Respect, not romanticism, is required. The middle way listens carefully to cause and effect. It consults knowledge without surrendering awareness. It values expertise while remaining attentive to lived experience. Decisions arise from observation, not ideology. When medicine and nature are held in balance, fear recedes. You no longer rush to fix everything, nor do you refuse help out of pride. Care becomes responsive, grounded, and humane. In this balanced approach, health is supported without excess, and suffering is met with clarity rather than confusion. In matters of health, many swing between blind trust in medicine and complete rejection of it. Some believe every discomfort must be treated immediately, while others refuse all intervention, placing faith only in what they call natural. Both extremes overlook wisdom. The middle way approaches medicine without fear and without worship. Medicine is a tool, not a savior. Nature is a teacher, not a guarantee. Each has value when understood in context, and danger when treated as absolute. The body has an innate capacity to heal, yet it also has limits. To deny this capacity is to become dependent. To deny these limits is to become careless. Balance recognizes when support is needed and when patience is enough. Modern medicine offers great benefit when guided by discernment. It can relieve suffering, restore function, and extend life. At the same time, not every condition requires immediate intervention. Some imbalances resolve through rest, nourishment, and time. Wisdom lies in knowing the difference. Natural approaches also require clarity. Natural does not always mean gentle or safe. Herbs, practices, and traditional methods influence the body powerfully. Used without understanding, they can harm as easily as they can help. Respect, not romanticism, is required. The middle way listens carefully to cause and effect. It consults knowledge without surrendering awareness. It values expertise while remaining attentive to lived experience. Decisions arise from observation, not ideology. When medicine and nature are held in balance, fear recedes. You no longer rush to fix everything, nor do you refuse help out of pride. Care becomes responsive, grounded, and humane. In this balanced approach, health is supported without excess, and suffering is met with clarity rather than confusion. The mind is as much a part of health as the body, yet it is often treated as separate, as if mental suffering were unrelated to physical care. Anxiety, depression, and restlessness are today diagnosed, medicated, and measured, yet the underlying habits of thought are rarely addressed. Extremes dominate here as well. Some chase endless stimulation, others seek to suppress every feeling. Neither leads to peace. The middle way teaches that mental health is cultivated through awareness and balance. The mind is not a problem to be fixed, but a process to be understood. Thoughts and emotions arise due to causes, and clinging or pushing against them creates suffering. By observing them with calm attention, we begin to respond wisely rather than react blindly. Modern culture prizes productivity, distraction, and constant engagement, often at the cost of stillness. Yet the mind requires pauses just as the body requires rest. Without these pauses, thought becomes restless, judgment becomes harsh, and fear dominates. Balance is found when we allow space for reflection and silence, even amidst activity. Extremes of thought are like extremes of movement or diet. Overindulgence leads to agitation, suppression leads to stagnation. The middle way encourages neither endless control nor complete surrender. Instead, it cultivates a steady attention, observing patterns without being carried away by them. Habits of mind, rumination, comparison, and craving can be transformed by consistent awareness. Meditation, mindful breathing, and conscious reflection are not remedies in the sense of elimination. They are practices that reveal the transient nature of thoughts and allow freedom from extremes. When the mind is treated with the middle way, clarity emerges naturally, anxiety softens, focus returns, and decisions arise from insight rather than compulsion. Mental health becomes a living balance, integrated with the body and nourished by awareness, not a fragile state dependent on external conditions. Aging is one of the few certainties of life, yet it is often resisted with fear or ignored with denial. In modern culture, youth is celebrated as a standard, and signs of aging are seen as failures to be corrected. This creates a constant tension between reality and expectation, between what is and what we wish it to be. The middle way approaches aging with acceptance and care. To accept does not mean to resign or neglect. It means to see clearly what is happening and to respond with wisdom and kindness. The body changes, energy shifts, senses dull. These changes are natural and inevitable. Fighting them with obsession only deepens suffering. Care becomes more important as the body ages. Exercise, nourishment, and rest are guided by respect for limits rather than desire to reverse time. Health practices are adjusted, not abandoned, and effort is applied with gentleness. The goal is not to preserve youth, but to support life at every stage. Mental attitude is equally crucial. Attachment to the past or fear of decline clouds judgment and steals presence. The middle way teaches that each moment remains precious, regardless of age. By valuing what the body can do now rather than lamenting what it cannot, we cultivate gratitude and clarity. Relationships and community become vital. Connection nourishes the mind and heart, just as food and movement nourish the body. Isolation, on the other hand, magnifies suffering. Care for others and acceptance of support are part of walking the middle way. Aging reminds us of impermanence. In responding with balance, we cultivate patience, wisdom, and compassion. Health at every age is not measured by what the body once was, but by how it is cared for today. In this, the middle way teaches us to embrace life fully, at every stage, without clinging to extremes or illusions. Each day offers an opportunity to return to the middle way in our care for health. Life does not unfold in perfect patterns, and neither does the body or mind. Conditions change, energy rises and falls, and circumstances shift. To meet these changes with balance is the practice itself. The middle way is not a final destination, but a daily return. Some days we may move with ease, eat with mindfulness, and rest fully. Other days, effort may falter, habits may slip, and the mind may wander. This is not failure, it is the nature of life. Balance is found not in perfection, but in the gentle redirection of attention and intention. Practical care arises from observation. Notice when the body is tired, when the mind is restless, when hunger or fullness speaks. Respond with effort that nourishes, rest that restores, and awareness that clarifies. Avoid extremes of indulgence or deprivation, obsession or neglect. Let each moment guide the response. Compassion is central. Towards oneself, for missteps are inevitable. Towards others, whose paths and capacities differ from our own. Health is not a solitary pursuit. It flourishes in connection, support, and shared wisdom. The middle way also teaches patience. Change is gradual. Habits form and dissolve slowly. By honoring the process rather than demanding immediate results, we sustain both body and mind. Fear and anxiety soften when care becomes steady, gentle, and consistent. In the practice of moderation, observation, and compassionate care, health becomes a lived experience rather than a goal to chase. Each breath, each meal, each movement becomes an act of presence. Each moment offers the chance to walk between extremes and meet life fully. This is the middle way in modern health, a balance that nurtures, sustains, and aligns body, mind, and spirit. As we have seen, the middle way offers a path to health that avoids extremes, neither indulgence nor neglect, neither obsession nor passivity. It teaches us to see the body and mind as living, changing processes, and to respond with awareness, patience, and compassion. Health is not a destination to conquer. It is a practice to accompany each day, adjusting to conditions as they arise. Practically, this means observing your body and mind without judgment. Eat mindfully, noticing hunger and fullness. Move with care, respecting limits while encouraging strength. Rest fully, allowing the body and mind to recover. Approach medicine and natural remedies with discernment, understanding when support is needed and when patience is sufficient. Cultivate mental clarity by pausing, reflecting, and practicing gentle awareness. Embrace aging and change with acceptance, adjusting your care rather than resisting reality. Each of these actions is a small, intentional step toward balance. By practicing in this way, you create a sustainable health that nourishes rather than punishes, supports rather than controls. Every moment becomes an opportunity to return to balance, to treat yourself with kindness, and to live fully in harmony with your own nature. If you found this perspective helpful, please like the video to support the channel, share it with someone who could benefit from a calmer approach to health, and leave a comment with your thoughts or experiences practicing balance in your life. Don't forget to subscribe so you can continue exploring these teachings and practical insights for living with awareness, balance, and wisdom.